Hi everyone, this is Mindy Eggen and welcome back to another video. Today I'm creating a super cute Christmas card using the STAMPtember exclusive stamp set from Simon Says Stamp featuring Lawn Fawn. The STAMPtember stamp set featuring Lawn Fawn is usually one of my favorite stamp sets out of STAMPtember, with their adorable images and really fun sentiments like Eat, Sleep, and Be Merry, which is the name of the stamp set and the sentiment I'll be using today. Now I have already gone ahead and picked out the images that I will be using on my card today. I stamped them in jet black ink, which is Copic friendly, onto some Neenah Solar White cardstock that is 80 pound, and then I'm coloring these with my Copic markers. For the sloths, I'm doing E79, E77, 74, and 71. So it's a really nice dark brown, but you can use whatever colors that you feel the sloth should be. And since I already have these markers pulled out, I'm going to go ahead and color the second one as well. So I'm coloring both of those images at one time. And then I'm going to come back in and do the face. So for the face, I'm using E43, 42, and 41. And I'll do the same thing for that top one. And then I'll come in and do my branches. So I went through my brown Copic selection and just chose some that are a different shade to kind of separate the two. And I did E37, 35, 33, and 31. Now you may notice that I did stamp a few dotted lines on this sheet as well. That's going to be the string that my ornaments are hanging down, and there is a separate die for that. It is very tiny but pretty easy to line up, and I really like how I can have those separate from the ornaments, so I can have my ornaments hanging wherever I choose. So once I have everything completely colored in, I'm going to line up the coordinating dies that you can purchase together or separately with this stamp set. I'm going to hold it in place with low tack tape and then run this through my die cut machine. Once these are all cut out, I'm going to set them off on the side and work on the background for my card. And I'll start that by taking some white cardstock and die cutting out the stitched scalloped rectangle frame. So I like to hold my frames in place so they don't shift around on my paper, which is really important when I'm using pattern paper. So here I'm using some pattern paper from the Let It Shine paper pack, and I did the large stitched rectangle. And then I also have another piece here that I'm die cutting with the small stitched rectangle die set. So like I said, I like to hold those in place, especially with words on there, because I want my words to be straight in my background. Now I can work on my sentiment, which there are a ton of really cute sentiments on here, but I really liked this Eat, Sleep, and Be Merry. So I have a piece of Rainforest cardstock lined up in my Misty tool. I prepped that with my anti-static powder tool, and then I'm inking up my sentiment with some embossing ink. And then I will sprinkle on some white embossing powder and just tap off any of the excess powder. And I'll bring my heat tool in and just melt all of that embossing powder. Typically when I'm done heat embossing and let it cool, I like to go over it with a Swiffer cloth. And then I'm bringing in the Everyday Sentiments banner die to trim my sentiment out into a thin strip. I created a card base for my card here, so this is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm attaching that striped background with my tape runner. So I like to line up the edge with the folded side. That way, if there are any white pieces hanging off the edge, maybe if I cut my paper wrong, I can trim that off. Then I'm bringing in that inside panel that has the words on there. This is going to be the background for my scalloped frame. So before I add my frame, I like to bring in my critters and any other elements I'm going to add to the card. So I'm just using my stitched scalloped frame as a guide, and then just slowly bringing in my pieces. Maybe I need to trim a little bit off so that nothing is showing outside of that frame. And the sloths, I just went ahead and attached with a tape runner. Some pieces I'm using some liquid glue because it was just easier to use liquid glue there. And then bringing those ornaments in, and some I will hang from the top of the frame. One of them will be hanging from the branch. So like I said, I kind of trimmed those off so I could customize how long it was hanging down. I'm going to be attaching that scalloped rectangle frame with thin foam strips just to add a little dimension to the front of the card. So once I have that going all the way around that scalloped rectangle, I'm going to remove the backing and attach this to the front of the card. I also have just some really small pieces of that foam tape behind those ornaments as well, just so that they don't get smushed when I mail this. And now for a sentiment, I'm going to add some of that thin foam tape, or that thin foam, behind the sentiment, just in the middle. I want this to kind of be at the same height as my background. So I added the thin foam strips into the middle, a little bit of the tape runner on the ends so that those ends attach to the frame, and then I can just line that up and push that down to attach it. That finishes off my card inspiration for you today, featuring the STAMPtember collaboration stamp set with Simon Says Stamp and Lawn Fawn. I will have all of the supplies listed down below in the video description and over on my blog. If you are interested in this stamp set, please head over to Simon Says Stamp and you can pick that up there. It's an exclusive stamp set, so it is only sold at Simon Says Stamp, and once they are gone, they are not restocked. So if you love this, please head over and grab that cute stamp set. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again soon.